In the ring we stand tall, words ablaze that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited mind sharp and keen, with a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. In the ring we stand tall, words ablaze that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited mind sharp and keen, with a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited minds sharp and keen, with a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Will be heard. Will be heard. In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave, every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited minds sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night, join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Will be heard. Will be heard. We stand tall, words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave, every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited minds sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night, join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Will be heard. Will be heard. Welcome to the spot. It's time.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Next Gen Training. My name is Mr. Bennett. I'll be joined by my partner, Coach Ferg, in a few minutes. Just again, thank you for joining us this evening. Sorry, running a little bit behind, but certainly looking forward to an impactful show this evening as we talk about decision making, specifically not only about decisions, but also what decisions do you have to take your time with. And so we're certainly looking forward to doing that and chopping that up with you. Just make sure as you come in tonight, just make sure you hit the like button as you come in. It really helps the algorithm, and we're very close to monetization, so we're definitely looking to acquire that within the next any minute now. And looking to break that threshold and become monetized. So again, very excited for what we're going to be doing in the space here. So again, we ask you, if you're not a subscriber to the Sparta HQ Network, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and certainly so you can catch up on all the shows and content. We have shows on at least 4 or 5 shows a week that we have here. The gray area, the Tuesday night Spartan Arena. We have the hangout, and obviously we have Next Gen Training. So really looking forward to continuing to give you good content in the space. But certainly as protocol, we're going to be asking the audience, how are your pies? All right, PIES is the acronym, and that stands, the P stands for physical, the I stands for intellectual, the E for emotional, and the S for spiritual. So I'll start off just giving my pies chart. Physically, I'm feeling better. Again, my left lat is getting stronger every week. I'm doing a little bit more weight. I'm still not doing chins, even though I could do chins, but I'm going to take my time in terms of healing that, and slow and controlled. But every week I'm adding more weight to it, feeling better about doing that, doing well in all my other exercises, squatting. I posted a video recently, me doing squats, and I moved squats to the end of my workout. I used to do them pretty much after some warm-ups, but just the load on my back and whatnot, I decided to move the squats at the end. So I do very heavy leg presses, to really kind of pre-exhaust the legs. So when I put the weight on the bar, I can't do as much. But again, I think just overall, I think it's just healthier on my back. So I do a wedge squat that really works the quads, and then I do a low bar squat that really works the glutes and hams, that posterior chain. And in future shows, stay tuned, because we're going to be doing some shows from my basement gym, and we're going to do some how-to, some basic exercises, things that you can do, not things that are too complicated. So for young people who are, just starting to work out, and certainly for older people who just need a basic, simple program. So I'm going to be taking you through some of the protocols that I do as well. So that'll be the next part. So again, we've been dealing a little more, I guess, with the personal and the people skills, your emotional intelligence. But we're going to start getting some physical, how you can take care of the body. But certainly as we have this show and the show next week, we're working on your mind, having the right thoughts and doing the right things to help you to certainly to do better, certainly in life, and but also how you can take care of your temple. So we're going to be talking about health. This is still for June. This is still certainly Men's Health Month. So again, make sure that everything is good with you. Certainly for older guys, do not be stubborn. Make sure you take care of your body, get those checkups, get those exams that you don't want, but still nevertheless are very important. So just make sure that you take care of yourself in those endeavors, so that you can be around to do the things that you want to do, rather than being told that you have to. The last thing you want to do is you don't want to go to your doctor and say, hey, doc, the doctor wants you to lose 20, 30 pounds or else. So you don't want that warning to you. You definitely want to make sure that you take care of your body. And again, that's another part of good decision making. And so we'll be talking about that tonight as well. So again, the E, so the emotional, I'm feeling pretty good. Again, just no issues, thinking right, always looking to do better and do right. Intellectual, just trying to just learn. I'm a big history buff, so I've been spending a lot of time watching history. I watched the movie Patton. This is like my third time watching it. If you guys never saw Patton, 1970 was when the movie came out. George C. Scott played Patton, and I just watched that film. And probably like the second or third time that I saw it. It's really gritty film. If you haven't, there've been a lot of injuries. I know on one of the Hangout shows we talked about war movies and military movies. But check out Patton. I mean, the guy was quite the interesting character, and the realism certainly of the movie, I think, is also going to get you as well. The war scenes, the battle scenes, pretty gruesome. And this is 1970, and so this is pretty gruesome stuff. But certainly very much you learn about the geopolitical part, and then I watched some documentaries on Patton afterwards. And again, so very fascinating. And then I started getting into just my own. This is kind of like how my mind works. I started getting into things about is there such things as just wars? And so those might be topics we might want to talk about on shows. I may recommend those as some gray areas that we may actually come up with for additional shows. So certainly be on the lookout for those. And so always trying to feed my mind, always trying to listen to smart people, respectfully discussing issues. That's a big passion of mine. Spiritually, certainly in a very good place, and certainly looking forward to that. So again, so the physical, the intellectual, the spiritual, and the emotional, all things are good. So I'm all checked in. And so without certainly delaying anymore, I know my guy Trey should be up here shortly, but certainly we're going to get into this. We're going to get into this topic of this show, and we're going to be talking about again the decisions that you made. So they say in life there's like 5 decisions. Well, about 3, 4 decisions that you're going to make. What you do with a. You can take that down for now. I'll put it up. I just want to kind of set it up first. So if you can take that down for me, I'd appreciate it. Several decisions you're going to make. So again, so where do you go to school? If you choose to go to school, what are you going to do for a living? Right. That's like one of the first ones that you'll decide in life. What do I want to do? What my vocation do I need to go to school for that? Or something, can I do, get a certification of some kind, or can I get an apprenticeship of some kind? So again, so what do you want to do with your life? And you start making those kind of decisions, start your late teens, when you start thinking about, those sort of things, where you turn 18, 20, 21, what do you want to do? Second major decision that you make is obviously, if you decide, now I know these are new times now, do you want to get married or not? Or if so, do you want to have a family or not? And keep this in mind, marriage and family are 2 different things. Because as we've talked about on other shows, again, go over our Gray Area playlist. We've talked about this on a couple different shows. We talked about it. People are making decisions that, yes, they don't mind being married, but they don't necessarily want a bunch of kids like our parents and grandparents did. Some of them are very happy with having a couple fur babies and just just living together, traveling and doing those sort of things. So just be mindful that not everyone wants to do that, but you still have to decide: do I want a life partner or not? Do I want to get married? And then once you decide that, do you want to have kids? And if so, how many kids? So again, major decisions that you're going to make. Where do you live? Is can be also important to your life. You're spiritual. What do you want to do with yourself spiritually? Do you believe in a higher power? If so, do you what path that you go on? That's an important decision that people make in life. And so those are some major decisions that in life most people are going to be faced with to have to come to terms with. And the better you make the decision, the better. However, there's certain things you shouldn't rush, certain decisions that you shouldn't have to rush, right? So again, these decisions no doubt have to be made, but you shouldn't rush these. So I guess with that, you can certainly bring up the first slide just to kind of um, set up, how you go about these decisions. So we're going to talk about the decisions that you shouldn't rush, but at the same time, what goes into decision making. All right. So again, I think all decisions start with being informed. So all decisions should be based on information. They should not necessarily be always be based on emotion. Now, again, we're going to talk about that when we go through the slides. There's my guy. There's my guy. What's going on, Coach? Good to see
What's up, brother Benny? Man, had some storm. Brad, yeah, it was. Yeah, I had to
you.
reboot.
I got you. Got to do the rumbles. Understood, sir. Real quick, you want to give your pie, your pie status this evening before we get into this
Oh
stuff.
yeah, real quick, man. Salute, man. Thank you, man. You know what I'm saying? My physical, man, I got down and did some push-ups today, and I was close to my goal, but I didn't reach it.
What's the goal?
I did 40 straight,
Mhm.
so I got to get that up 10 more. But that was the first time I tried push-ups in about 5 years or so. About the
Five
first time.
years?
Yeah, it's about the first time I tried about 5 years.
Wow, wow.
Because the last
But you
two,
still
three
work out? You
years,
still go to the gym?
no, I don't
What have you
go
been
to the
doing in the
gym,
gym?
man. I just, I've always been good at sort of managing my weight and stuff and get my little stretch, and I stretch a lot. So, but
Mm,
I fell and hurt my elbow about 2022, and it sort of messed up my fingers. I can't spread them, so it's a lot of pain up there. I went to the what is that? Rheumatology, and they said I have some levels of arthritis that's starting to take over. So, and I just went to that appointment on Monday. So yeah, just a little, worried about that a little bit. What is that? I intellectually, just understanding life and the truth of what it is, with things that's going on around the world, just trying to, start to not evaluate, but start to organize things, simplify things per se, just in case things take a turn for the worse or the better too, because
yeah.
I'm preparing for both. But yeah, so I don't forget the pies, man. Emotionally, I'm excited. You see, I'm sort of, I'm excited though because, what I'm saying, I'm trying to do some things, but I can't jump the gun. So I just
Hmm.
have to be patient.
Gotcha.
But I did finish, complete sort of my shoe rack project in my basement, where I made some racks out of 2x4s, cut notches in them, custom
Now, you
some
one of those
plywood.
guys you get like 200 pairs of Jordans? You one of those
No,
guys?
I don't really. I don't have one pair of
You're not a
Jordan. I
sneaker.
never
You're not
bought
a
a pair.
sneakerhead.
I do have a lot of sneakers. I do wear more Adidas.
Adidas and Puma,
I
man. There
got
you go. Same
quite
here.
a variety, but I got have a lot of dress shoes too. Maybe, yeah, I have a lot of dress shoes, boots,
So if you were to
something for
count it
all the
all up,
occasions.
I got about 50, 60 pairs. Now, if I was to count up everything, the sneakers, the dress shoes, the casuals, probably about 50, 60 in my
Okay,
collection, which drives my wife crazy.
yeah,
But every time she comes home with a pair of shoes, I look at her like,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
okay,
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
yeah,
the rules only apply to you, but they don't apply to me. So I was like, all right. But then again, I've owned shoes for years. Like I
yeah.
got shoes that are like 20, 25 years old. You know what I mean?
I don't think I
If
ever
I
had that close.
if I could still, well, that's the thing. As long as my feet can fit them. Now the thing is, I think I might have grown with them because I think the main thing that happened was that certainly during the pandemic, I didn't have to wear a lot of those shoes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and it
so when I
saved a
put them
lot of
on for
wear
the
and
first
tear.
time, I was like, I couldn't fit them anymore. Like I remember for the longest time,
Yeah,
I was an 11 and a half for years. And now it's like I'm like 12 and a half, 13 at this point. Now, again, the shoes that I was still rocking throughout, I can still wear. So I think the shoe just kind of stretched out with me as I grew into them. But
brother.
if you've been on the shelf for a while and I haven't put you on, I'm putting you on. It's like, man, I can't. It's like unbearable. So yeah. So but now if I buy new shoes off the rack, it's like I'm looking at 13 to be comfortable, especially if you're putting on some heavy crew socks or something.
Brother
Uh,
Benny. Hold time out, brother. You
Mhm.
done stressed out some 11 and a half to some 13s.
If I still wear, like I said, because if I've constantly worn them, it's almost as like they kind of grew with me. But the ones that have been on the shelf for a minute, and then I try to go put them on, it's like, oh, so they go in a Goodwill because they still in good condition. Because that's
Yeah,
the thing too. I think
yeah.
me, I've always been, I would rather buy a few pairs so I don't wear them out. Because back growing up, we didn't have that luxury.
No, for
And so
sure.
I would wear sneakers to like the
To
hole,
the hole.
literally the
To some
hole in the
cardboard.
bottom. And we were so poor, I would use some glue, some crazy glue or something like that to stitch it, to patch it up, and still try to wear this thing. So I would wear sneakers into the ground. But then when I got to the point where I got a little money, I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy a few pairs. I wear, I don't think I wear any one pair no more than once a week, sometimes once a month, depending on what I'm wearing. And so they're still relatively fresh. There's not a lot of wear and tear on them. So yeah, I would rather have more and sort of keep them in rotation rather than just taking one pair and just wearing it down to the ground, which growing up, that's all you had. That's why when you got that new pair of sneakers for Christmas or whatever, you were like, you on top of, or September, like going back to school, you did that back to school shopping in late August to go to the flea market and get some sneakers. It's like, man, I gotta let these gotta last me a year. And that's when you got the Comet cleanser and the white out and the stuff, and try to keep them buffed and
For
everything,
sure.
because that's all you had. So you had to work them things. But yeah, I admit I ran sneakers to the ground, bro. I mean,
Yeah,
I
man.
mean,
So
but
salute to you, man. It's
yeah,
amazing how you grew
yeah,
a whole 2 foot sizes.
yeah. I didn't expect for the longest time. I was but everything's like my hands got bigger, my wrists got bigger. I mean, like I bought some watches. Again, this is prior to the pandemic. I bought some watches,
Hmm.
and like I got to take the links out and to get it to my size. And like
Hmm.
recently, I'm trying to put these watches on,
And
and it's
add
like,
some links.
yeah, it's like it's cutting off the circulation. So I had to
Wow.
add some links back to it. And so yeah, so it's not fat. There's no fat here, right? This is just the weights
Right.
and the strength training and the constant grabbing.
Maybe you had
And
a
so
growth
my
spurt.
so my hands got bigger. My wrists, got
Hmm.
bigger. So yeah, so it's just a late sprint here. But yeah, man, but again, the whole idea of, again, decision making, sometimes, like I said, then you make decisions based on the information that you have, or based on the resources that you have. And so, like I said, back then you had one pair of shoes to worry about. But again, as you got more means, you bought, maybe, like I said, a few more items, so again you don't wear them out. You keep things in rotation. So again, those are decisions that you make as well. And at least that's worked for me. And I never had to have the $200 or $300 Jordans. Like I said, Puma and Adidas, they were good to me because I would get Pumas for like $50 back in the day. So I was good. Or British Knights, or whatever the brand from back in the day, man. I didn't have to have because Jordans, folks were getting, I don't know if you remember, folks were getting deleted over some Jordans back in the day, man.
Man, brother, been today still. Now they I think you can Jordan's what 250, almost $300, man. That's ridiculous. I've never owned a pair of Jordans. I've never bought a pair. I've never been interested in buying a pair of that.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But yeah, I have a lot of clothes, a lot of shoes. I'll probably say I got about 120 pair of shoes, maybe more. But
120. Yeah,
yeah,
that's saying something. Yeah, I'd say about
but
50 or 65 is to Canada, but
and that, like you said, over years. But I've also donated probably about 40 pair of shoes.
same.
Or
Yeah, yeah,
I like to donate. I just take it to sometime a homeless shelter with clothes and
right,
stuff like that,
right.
or
Well,
kid clothes.
um, now the thing is, I will, if I buy, like, I just literally, this is my first time wearing. I just bought this. I like I tell you, I'm a Marshall holic, so I got this shirt for $13 from Marshalls. Now,
Come
if I
on, man.
buy a shirt, I give away 2 shirts. That's the deal. So again, if you've been in my closet for a number of years and you're not in rotation, you're going to Goodwill. So again, I'm trying to gradually sort of bring my total clothing down, and refresh with some new stuff or what have you. But yeah, I used to be, the longest time I was an accumulator of clothes,
Mm-hmm.
and so now I'm trying to really cut that down. So if I buy one,
Mm-hmm.
I got to get rid of two, and that's been the status. But yeah, but let's talk about this decision making. I was just before I was about to get into the slides, I was talking about what goes into decision making, or what should go into your decision making. One of the things I talked about was information. That I think too often people make emotional decisions and not informed decisions. Do you do your homework and research? Do you consider options, which can be daunting? And I was one of those people. I would sometimes I would overanalyze before I made a decision. You don't want to go that far either, but at the same time, you're more than likely to get into trouble when you make rush decisions based on emotions. So, why don't you talk about that a little bit? What's your thought on the information that you have that goes into decision making? How important is that versus just going with the emotions of it?
Man, I'm going through that right now. I'm looking. Well, yeah, we're looking to purchase another vehicle, right?
Hmm.
And this probably be my last vehicle if things go right. The two we have are fairly new, pretty good brand. And I have a truck, 18 Ram.
Hmm.
It's only got like 70,000 miles on, 71,000 miles on it. I just so and I had it since 2018, right? It's sort of the dog. It's sort of the dog's vehicle now. My German Shepherd. She's been wilding out in it, but it still rides
Hmm.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But we want to get another vehicle, and like you said, the information. I've been studying on the purchase of a new vehicle to find the vehicle that I want, right?
Right.
So the prices are fairly the same across the board. And I've searched within 100, 200 miles away, right? 250 miles away, because
Hmm.
based off the research, it says do that. So I've been doing it, and I've been taking my notes. I got all my MSRPs and the options and how to sort of negotiate some of those option prices, because they all are optional and they don't have to be the standard price. So now I've been looking for a vehicle under a certain price range. So I found I'm trying to get a 2500, and it has to have certain features that I like. So
Yeah.
and I found one that fits the color, the price, and the features I'm looking for. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to go check that out this weekend. But I did my research, and I found one that meets right under the threshold of what I'm trying to do. So it,
Yeah.
it works out,
Yeah.
And so, and my wife, she's cool with it. She like black and gray, the dark colors like I guess, especially,
Yeah.
it's all black. So it fits perfect. Only thing, I ain't got no sunroof and leather, but I don't need leather. I got leather, everything else. It's a
Yeah.
truck. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have my dogs in it anyway. So
Gonna be
you know what
teared
I'm
up.
saying? So
Yeah.
I ain't but I need it, and I think it's gonna work out. So we're gonna go check it out.
I heard that.
And I'm gonna apply all the research that I've used before I
Yeah.
pull this trigger
Yeah.
on buying this truck.
Yeah.
So
And
salute.
like I said, and there's a balance to it as well. Like I said, I was known for being I would overthink, and sometimes I would take too long. Now again, we're going to deal with this topic of shout out to King, from the King and Me show is in the building tonight. Since Lady Nabo is in the building, my
Lady
man Eric is in the
Lord.
building tonight. Salute to you guys being here tonight. Make sure you follow King, the King in Emmy. So him and his lady Michelle, they've taken their relationship to the next level. They're actually living together now. So I'm sure
What?
this is a learning curve and process for them. So they're taking us on the journey with them. And so again, make sure you subscribe. Certainly to a show. Follow those guys. I think Monday nights at 7 p.m. And they keep that show tight. They out it in an hour. So I need to learn more from them. 1 hour show every week on Monday nights. Definitely follow him.
Brother
But
Bennett, Brother
yo,
Bennett, before you go, I just want to make note to somebody made a comment in the chat. EJN 2012 said Paul is slowly becoming Tiny Lister, aka Zeus.
yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm hulking up. I weigh the most I've ever weighed. I weigh myself. I'm 235 right now.
All right, we
and
made the same.
yeah,
We the
so
same way.
yeah, but I'm 6'3", man.
Yeah, I'm 5'9" and a
You
half.
5'9" and 235. I'm 6'3". Wow,
But
wow.
it, I wish I could. I ain't really got
You
no
still got
gut.
the abs.
You know
You
what
got
I'm
the
saying? No,
you
I
still.
got one. I got one big ab. You know what I'm saying? My calf. I've always been like my neck is 19 inches. My
See,
calves are like 21 inches, and
that's another
um,
thing. So I grew into like a 17, 18 inch neck. I was a 15 and a half, 16 neck for years. And again, just that training now, especially when I train neck. Now I went through a period where, they got them neck harnesses,
yeah,
put the neck harness with chain, and I'm doing all this stuff here. My
like
neck kept growing, and I had to put a dress shirt on. I'm like, I can't get it there. So I'm like, I just bought a tuxedo shirt recently, and it was like, yeah, I'm like into the 17, 18, 7.5, 18s right now.
18.
So
That's
I just
good.
keep growing. Still feel pretty good. Still strong, but it's what can I tell you? But Pop Culture Warrior in the building tonight. Appreciate you. Certainly for your support. Go make sure you go over there and follow that channel as well. All kinds of stuff. Who wants to be who
Whoever
wants to
wants
be
to be
Debo?
well,
So
who else
I'm getting
wants to
all the
be
love.
cool?
I'm Debo. I'm Tiny Lister. I'm all. I guess so. I guess so. But look, I'm feeling good. Still still pushing hard. And at this point, 6 feet tall, 300 pounds. I checked yesterday. So now that's the thing, because I met CBN. I met David in New York, and I was expecting him to be bigger than me, like really like
Mhm.
tall, everything. But I had him. I still had him for a few inches or whatnot, but he's a solid built guy, no question. But for some reason, I just keep growing, man. So my feet are
Yeah,
growing, my
that's what it
hand, my
needs.
wrists are growing. So I'm just
Yup.
hulking out of stuff. So
I'm a,
everything I buy now, another decision I made. Everything I buy now, it has to be stretch. So if I buy pants, I got to get that 4-way stretch. If I buy a suit
yeah,
jacket, I got to have some give. Remember, they used to make those suits
yeah,
tailor made, tight,
yeah.
really high and tight on you. Nah, I can't do that anymore because I don't
No, you
know.
gotta have at least a size. You gotta go at least a half a size to a size bigger.
Said, but I don't like the bag. I like it. I like it. That's why I like go for the stretch, because the stretch will give me another inch or two, some breathing
Flexibility.
room. Yeah, yeah. So I like that. And I ripped.
You don't
Confession.
rip some suits.
I ripped pants. I ripped
Oh,
about since last year. I've ripped about 7 pairs of pants.
don't put, brother
Just
Benny. Now
getting,
you
just
know you
getting,
gotta go up a
just
size
getting
big on
in
your
and
pants.
out of the car. I'm like the crotch area just ripped up or whatever, because all this posterior, all these squats. I'm doing all these squats, and then I'm ripping pants, man. So what can I
You
tell
gotta
you?
go up a size larger, man. Just a size. Wear a belt. You good?
Like I said, I'm wearing the jeans I got on right now. Again, stretchy, nice. They're almost like leggings. I got them on. So that's the thing. But yeah, when you do heavy squats or deadlifting, anything that works that posterior chain, stuff just gets tight on you, bro. So you gotta make sure you get clothes that'll grow with you. Certainly as you're going through this stuff. But
Benjamin Button on the reverse. That's who you are. You get younger
I'm
and
getting
bigger.
younger. I'm getting bigger. I tell you, but yeah, man. But
Good.
let's get into so we talked about just we talked about information in terms of making a decision. And I like what Coach said earlier. I mean, obviously he's considering a big purchase these days. I mean, some of these automobiles are today what houses used to cost back 50 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
so so things that you shouldn't be in a rush to do. All right. So again, we're not saying decisions don't have to be made. And there's a balance that you have to have between procrastinating and rushing a decision. But there's certain decisions you need to be very meticulous on as you make these, or else it could certainly wind up bad for you. So things you should never do in terms of making decisions. You should never rush these decisions that you make. So let's go to the first one. Fall in love. Now, again, there's a few ways you can couch this: fall in love / get married / become serious / like I got King, move in together. I mean, these are big decisions that you need to make, and you should not rush these things. You need to make sure that the person you're deciding to go to that next level with, especially if you're a young person, that you do your homework. Make sure that this person is someone that I could commit myself to. Make sure this is somebody who I can grow with. Make sure this is somebody who is going to respect me. There's so many things that go into this process, and I know we came into this space, this manosphere YouTube space, like 5 years ago, and the whole thing was about men are bad, women are bad, everyone's bad, people aren't getting together, and so people are getting together. I mean, we're happily married guys here, but you need to you need to is that for the person is that for the person who, if you choose the wrong one, you need, if that person's not for you, need to take that electric swatter and swat them away, because again, they can do you a lot of harm. But yeah, but who you pick. And also, now again, I don't know where you fall on this in terms of age. So let's talk, since we do focus a lot of the show on young people. Is there an age where you think that one kid should start dating? Or is there an age where you think that people should be serious? Where do you fall on that as far as falling in love and whatnot? Is there an age that's appropriate for that, or were you more like the person that's like, look, man, don't worry about girls right now. You told your son, don't worry about these girls. Just go get your degree, get your bag, get work on yourself and whatnot. And the girls will be there later. Or were you, did you not prohibit him when it came to choosing girls or whatever? Now you got my own commentary on my daughters, but what's your thoughts on this one as far as never being a rush to fall in love, or how you want to couch that?
My son was a lot more disciplined in relationships and, as a younger man than I was. I played sports, and my father didn't really talk to me about women and relationships.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't really talk to me about that. He told me, he gave me work hard, be respectful, treat people right. But as far as like how to sort of treat a woman and things like that and what not to take from a woman, I learned how to treat a woman by watching my older sisters, how guys used to come over with their flowers and sit on the porch and talk to them and stuff like that. And what not to take from a woman, I learned from my mother. My father, he didn't really talk to me, but I asked him one day, I said, why you never talk to me about girls? He said, son, what was I going to tell you? And, my father had a warped way of trying to explain it. And,
right.
You know what I'm saying? He said, what was I going to tell you when the first time when your little high yellow self got you some and it felt good to you? Would you have listened to me anytime after that? I thought about it. I said, you know what? Maybe not, because during my teenage years, I had a girlfriend and she came on to me and told me that, hey, this is what it is and this is what it is going to be. So throughout high school, I had a girlfriend, Steady, that we did a whole bunch of grown folk activities, right? However, it was still respecting it. I didn't come out of high school with no children, you know what I'm saying, things like that. But we was doing a lot. I used to come home at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning after a football game. I've been around over her house. Her grandmother had a house, and she had an upstairs apartment that she never came up. So we used to be up there. I used to be up there in my underwear, in my flip flops and socks. That's all I got on.
Is your wife gonna watch this show?
No, you know what I'm saying? I talk about this.
I'm just messing with you.
No, just that whole.
I don't know. My wife wants to know those details. So
I'm just saying, being young, you know what I'm saying, and being foolish and not really taking it serious, but still, you know what I'm saying, just both of us are being young and just enjoying that experience. Now, my mother used to tell me, don't ever move in with a woman if I'm not married to her. And when I got married, me and my wife never moved in until we got, until we married.
Yes,
we dated. So, and even like you said, that was a learning experience, but I sort of understood how she lived when I used to visit, and she understood how I lived when she visited. I'm a clean guy. I'm an organized. How people look in your drawer and see all your clothes folded up. your t-shirts on one side under, and that's always been me since I was a
Hmm.
kid.
Right.
So I've took that everywhere I've gone outside of relationships, but I don't think I would. But my son, he's different. He's like, hey, I'll fall in love whenever. You know what I'm saying? He ain't really been experienced in relationships. He has some, and he's done grown. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm. But now,
he's not. Mm,
but specifically this, because again, I think I don't want to conflate two different things. So I know you talked about, you got with a girl and y'all messed around and stuff like that. But this one in particular, as far as falling in love or getting serious with somebody early in your life, would you have a problem with that? Because I know some
no,
guys, some fathers would be like, you know what, you
no,
don't fall in love in that. Go sow your wild oats,
no. I wouldn't have. I
and
wouldn't. No, brother
you know what I'm
Bennett. I wouldn't
saying?
have. I wouldn't have a time on it. To young adults, I wouldn't put a time on it. Even in teenage first love, but I've always told them, if you meet a girl and you like her, treat her with respect, and if it happens, it happens. It's sort of for me, and I'm already past that. It's hard to look back and say, is it too young to fall? Could you be too young? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. Especially if
it's a
you
no.
about like say your son was an athlete, you were an athlete. If you were like chasing that dream, right? So 'cause I remember like you remember like Travis Hunter from
Yeah,
Colorado. And everybody was getting some smoke over, I guess the
the
lady he was
girl. Yeah,
with,
they finally got
and
married
and that
too.
did, yeah. But everybody's like, oh man, you shouldn't,
Yeah,
and just so a lot of people were like, yeah, should love be on the front, especially when you that guy you trying to chase and do something really positive with your life. Should that be a priority while you're still chasing that time? So you
no,
coming out of high school, you in college, you looking at D1, you're looking at scholarship, you're looking whatever. So again, can falling in love, and I'm taking this in more in the positive vein. I'm not talking about just messing around, having. I mean, smart thing, obviously, if you're gonna do that to the thing, strap up, what I mean, and take the precautions that you need to
so
in this time. Don't be silly about that. It's weird too because it's like with us, we grew up with all the messages. We went through VD and all those AIDS commercials, all that stuff was out, and it's like every other commercial was one of those, and now it's almost as like people think these things don't exist anymore. But you
like
should
they
definitely take care
taboo.
of yourself. You should definitely take care of yourself in these certainly these times. But I want to really focus in on this love thing. I'm talking about so sincere people who have genuine feelings for each other. Would you encourage or discourage a young man who's, he's got goals, he's got ambition, she's got goals, she's got ambition, she's going to college, she's going to, really do some things? Would you discourage someone from taking a relationship too seriously, too young? Or would you say, you know what, go find yourself a little bit first before you think that this person's for you? Or would you encourage it?
I don't think I would encourage it, but I wouldn't encourage it. I would just try to ensure that they're focused on the bigger picture,
Hmm.
but also having those discussions. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've always loved with me and my son. We've had the discussions. Like if you meet a woman early and you're young, you know what I'm saying? Yes, it could happen. I couldn't control how he loved somebody if he fell in love. I wouldn't have been
Hmm.
able like, man, you too young. But if he had, like you said, if they're on their way to be an exceptional something, um, I would encourage to focus on the greater goal, and I will protect them from possible, you know, suitors. I would be more intent, like we gonna find them a good mate. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't
Hmm.
just let any type of uh, female have access to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would make sure that that's bigger
Yeah,
because
that's more
you
what
know,
I'm not talking about, like I said, the randoms are the ones who just want something. But I'm talking about like, obviously when you're really into someone like that, uh you're on the phone longer than you need to be. You're together. It's like, oh, I got to study, I got to test tomorrow, but can you just stay a little longer? That kind of thing. I mean, they can be a distraction when you got practice. You got practice to get to. You got practice. You got books. You got all these things that are going on. for some people, especially when you're young like that, you're just trying to get your life together. You're trying to get some time management together, but you just head over heels for this girl. It's like, Dad, you don't know how this girl makes me feel, bro. I mean, really, it's like I don't want to leave her, bro. It's like, yeah, I know you said a curfew at 11, 10 o'clock, Dad, but come on, man, can you give me another hour, bro? I just, when a brother gets his feelings into a girl, you know what I mean? That it's like, could it be too much? Can you sometimes you gotta pull it? Come on, son. Hang on, son. Look, I know you got the feelings for this girl, but you got to try to level set them. But once that love, that love, brothers, I know brothers love hard. When we fall hard, bro. And certainly girls too. So I'm not saying like, I'm not talking about the sharks and the hyenas and the just want to eat up a guy and just devour him or whatever. I'm talking about sincere people, but it's like, because I haven't told my daughter, for example, because she's going to med school and she's kind of messing with this guy, and I'm like, look, you're going to another level. You're leaving the country in a couple months. You're going to med school, and so you need to be about that purpose. This guy, I know you have feelings for him, or he treats you good and everything, but he's got some growing up to do also. And I've told that person, I was like, look, I don't approve of you necessarily. Look, hanging out and all that's fine, but I wouldn't put a lot into this guy. Let him, if you go to medical school, if he's really into you like that, let him demonstrate and show and prove. This is a smart kid. This guy had a full ride scholarship somewhere, and he just didn't want to do it. And I'm like, look, let him prove himself over this next couple, few years while you're away, and see if he can make something of himself before you invest any major time into it again. But she likes him. He's fun. He treats her well, all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, look, dude, you're in your mid-20s and you're still living at home, and he's supposed to be moving to Florida and live with his mom. It's like you're not even independent yet to be talking about I need to. It's like, so I'm telling my daughter that love, especially when you got purpose and goals, liking someone real hard or loving somebody when you're not swimming and going in the same lanes, you're not in the same, your oars aren't going in the direction, that could be a distraction. So I'm telling her, it's like, look, you need to get out of the country, and who knows, you may find Mr. Right in med school, which would be ideal for me. I mean, find somebody who's driven there. You're not going to find any more driven than med school. So put it there. But this guy, because she likes him and she likes hanging out with him, but how he makes me feel and stuff, I'm like, okay. But so again, I don't think, again, you should be, depending on where you are in life or what you want to do. If you really trying to do something really big, then yeah, I would say I hold off on that, and let's see if you get through it. Because also, you don't realize how much people change. Like, you talking about a high school senior versus a college senior. The growth and development in the person, how you change over that time, it's like night and day. And so again, you don't even know the person who you even are yet. So again, but if that person wants to be around, if they doing their thing, you guys keep in touch, this, that, and the third, yeah, you guys can run it back or reconnect later. But to get that serious that early when you have these things going on, I just think that keep the main thing, and obviously your personal life and relationships and marriage, all that stuff's going to be important. And I don't believe you should wait till 30 to get it. I certainly believe, I don't mind young people in their early 20s getting married. I'm not opposed to that at all. In fact, that would be ideal in my situation. But yeah, this could be for their benefit, even though it feels right, even though
So,
things are good.
Brother Ben, I have a
I
question
would
for
hold
you.
off. Yeah.
So let's just say your daughters are sons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would your message still be the same
Absolutely.
if they met a woman that way?
100%. Especially if it's a guy. Because especially for black men, because again, I mean, sisters, they go to school, they do their stuff. It's the brothers sometimes who are not on games. So for a black man to graduate medical school, if he was in that situation, I'm like, bro, don't even worry about the girls. Definitely the women will be there for him. women have more of a timetable. You know what I'm saying? As far as, if they want to have kids and that kind of thing. Men, no, you got a little bit more time. You could be 35 and be out there. Woman at 35, maybe not as much. So absolutely, I'm like, get that stuff out the way. You coming out of med school 26, 27, whatever, got your stuff together, then you can look into that. The only caveat I would put on that is, and I do understand the idea of finding someone who really appreciates you, who you are, before you became Dr. So and so or Mr. So, because at that point, then the dating pool comes. How do you know if the person likes you for you, or they like you because of your title or your position or your money? And so the only thing I'd be torn about is, yeah, you find somebody young like that. They knew you when you didn't have anything. Like I said, when I had the sneakers with the holes in the bottom of the sneakers, you knew me then. And you still rock with me. So I understand and I realize that having somebody like that who's with you when you were eating ramen noodles and tuna in college or whatever, and that's all you could afford, and yet she's still with you, that's a keeper in my view. But when you got Dr. So-and-so on your name, then that's going to be harder to choose, who's really with you. So that's the only thing I would be the other side of the argument would be, yeah, I think it's good when you find someone when you're at the bottom, because they were ride or die with you doing all that time, for better, for worse, for rich or for poor. They saw you when you was poor. But then it's harder for guys to find somebody who's genuinely about them. So that would be my only. Someone's going to push back. That's my own pushback. So I'm saying, so there's got to be a balance here. It's like, yeah, you don't have to wait. Don't wait till you're 30 before you try to find somebody. But 17, 18, 19 years old, or you go on to school or something like that, that may be too much of a commitment that you might have to make this, and are you going to be able to maintain your focus? Are you going to be mature enough to say, you know what, you're going to go to medical school, you're going to do your thing, I'll be here when you get back. And that's what I told my daughters, look, if this guy's still here, if you still want to give after you do your thing, if he's still there and you still want to, then what am I going to say at that point? But I was telling her to tell him, it's like, look, you need to find yourself, and you need to find your own, establish your own lane before you think about bringing somebody else into your world, especially at your age now. You need to really focus on that. So that's really my perspective on this. But again, certainly, as you said earlier, discussions definitely have to be made. But again, if falling in love means you falling off your purpose, that could be dangerous. But I encourage, young love. I encourage, again, I don't think people need to wait till 30, 35 years old to find somebody and get married. I just don't.
Brother Ben, real quick, before we move on to the next one, I just want to make an announcement for us, right? Listen, folks, we don't consider ourselves to be experts in these subjects. We are two gentlemen who have lived life, that came along through different walks of life, but also similar in its path, because we are of a certain age, similar age, a few years apart. I think we're about a year and a half apart or so, and we have both very unique stories, very unique paths that we walk. Some things have been very similar because we are in America, and we have been, I guess, taught at some point that we have to take responsibility for our lives. So here we are, just giving our two thoughts. Yes. So hopefully we don't offend anybody or make assumptions about people that, where we are just being offensive. So we don't want to represent that. This is not what we're about. We're just trying to provide some information on allowing us and others that are looking for a better way to just make better decisions about their lives. So
hey, we may need a banner like going at the bottom of the screens. The opinions of Coach and Mr. Ben are not necessarily the views of the Sparta HQ Network or its affiliates.
We are just two bald guys giving
two bald guys just try to
the bald opinions.
There you go, bald opinions. Actually, we should rename the show instead of Next Gen Training, Bald Opinions. Right, we are at the next Sparta meeting. We're gonna talk about that. We may have to do a rename of the show to the Bald Opinions. There you go. Let's move to the next one here. Okay, so never rush. Never give your trust away.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is another one kind of similar to the relationship one to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just talking about your intimate relationship, but also just again, who gets into your circle.
Mm-hmm.
Be very careful about the friends, what's really a friend. And this is something I've explained to my daughter, especially again, the one going to medical school. She had to have like a purging, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
of folks because I've always said there's friends and then there's buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't understand the difference between what a friend is what a buddy is. And
Mm-hmm.
with buddies, it's always about the activity
Yes.
that keeps you together. And a lot of times what happens is as you move on in life and as your life starts to take a different path, you may not have time for those activities anymore. And so because you don't have that time for that activity, then the relationship then therefore dies because again, you're not in what you're investing in is the activity, not necessarily the person. But when you talk about real friends and people you put your trust in, it's about the person that you are putting your trust in. So again, be very careful. So that's why, when she started to try to make moves and go into different directions or whatnot, then all these people, all the jealousy came out, the hated starting came out and stuff like, what? I'm just doing my thing. And it was just, you just saw that these people, as long as you were with them going and doing stuff and hot girl summer and doing all the party stuff and traveling stuff, y'all were besties. But then he's like, look, I need to move on with my life and I need to do something else. You start spending time with, let's say if you did find somebody good to date, you start dating them and then they start clowning you because now you with somebody. So again, make that distinction between your beer drinking buddies or your sports, your gaming buddies that you met online, or the guys who you're on the baseball team or the rec basketball league or whatever organization that you be in. Be very careful that you don't make friends of people too quickly and let those people show over time that they can be trusted. Trust is something that's built over time, and let people certainly show themselves through their actions and through their temperament over time that yes, I can trust this person. But don't be in such a rush to give that away because again, when people start showing themselves, especially when things change the other and go the other ways, you might find yourself scratching your head and be like, "What happened? I thought we were such good friends, and now I'm in this different place, or whatever." And now it's like I'm getting these looks and everything, or they ghosting me, or they doing this or that or whatever. So, what's your thoughts on this one, Coach? I thought this was a good one.
I mean, man, just it's funny thing about trust, man, because I don't know, man. I come in with I guess when I meet people, I come in with an open heart, open mind about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't judge people based off what other people say about people. I've never been that way. So whenever I meet new people that I just, and I guess I would build the relationship on the respect that I receive, or I would just not even form a relationship, you know what I'm saying, in that capacity. But so, yeah, I mean, my circle's always been small.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can, I guess, I don't know what they call it. I could break bread with anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Since I can hang out, you know what I'm saying? We can talk sports, different topics, da da da. But I'm only go, but I still in my protective state for myself and my wife. I'm only gonna trust you as far as I can see you.
exactly. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I've always been in a sense. I never questioned whether or not somebody would do something to, make me distrust them. It's just when I recognize who they are, I was easy for me to make decisions to distance myself immediately and not allow that emotional battle with myself to just have somebody hang around me and be disrespectful and say inappropriate things. I've never been like that. Um, so yeah, but I think it's important to figure this one out. This would probably be one of the most difficult things people could learn how to sort of self-regulate.
mm-hmm.
A lot of
Let
people
me.
go in giving away trust early,
Yeah, yeah.
and a lot of times they don't do any research. Going back to the earlier value that they can really make those rash decisions.
Yeah,
You
for
know what I'm
sure.
saying? So
Let me ask you this statement I heard one time. If you have more than 5 friends, you don't have 5 friends.
I've heard that.
You know what I mean? Like you
I've
said,
heard that.
I'm talking friends now. Again, friends versus buddy. You can have
Yeah,
thousands
I've
of
heard that.
followers, millions of followers,
Yeah,
thousands of associates, and
yeah,
hundreds of buddies. But when
yeah,
you talk about friends, I mean, like,
yeah,
ride or die friends.
yeah.
It should be no more than 5. If you have 5,
I
that's a
got,
lot.
I got maybe 2, 3.
That's what I'm
Not
saying.
3.
I mean,
Not 3.
those guys who are like, those dudes, you're blessed if you have a couple of those in your life. But
I
everyone
got
else
4.
could be seasonal. Everyone could come into your life for a season and everything. I know my daughters, my wife had all these wife mom friends. You know what I mean? They come over for cookouts and birthday parties and stuff like that, and everybody had a circle. But then once the girls grew up, was there a reason for the mothers to still get together and talk and hang out and all that kind of stuff? Not really. So there's understand that there's going to be people in your life for a reason. People are going to be in your life for a season, and then you're going to have to you'll have to be mindful of that where people are not always there. But I'm talking about like you talking about friends who would take a bullet for you. That's very few people. Not even you got relatives who won't even do that for you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be very mindful of that when choosing as well.
Sure.
But when people say, "Oh, I got all these friends," okay, right. So just be very careful about that. Make sure that they're there for you and not just for the occasion or the event or what you can give them. Make sure that you're there for those. All right. So the next one, judge someone's character. Now this one I may it be in a rush to judge someone's character. Again, at some point, all the things that we're talking about here, you're going to have to make a decision at some point in time. The emphasis is don't make it in a rush to judge someone's character. Again, character is something that, are there things that, they say you can make a bad first impression? And certainly that can be important. That's why making a good first impression is important. But again, you never know where somebody is. You never know what sort of day they had, or you might call them in a moment or something. But again, you need to be able to see over time. If you see patterns, do you see how they treat other people that are not friends or to them? How they treat their parents, how they treat, So again, you can. Peter, man, you need to stop with that. Judge with the beard. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm guilty as charged. And how about that? Yes, guilty.
I'm guilty.
But yeah, so certainly again, watch people, and that's kind of what I do. That's why a lot of times I like to hang out in these spaces as you do, and you just see how the dialogue goes, and you just observe and whatnot, and I like to listen more than talk, and so yeah, I mean. Character proves itself over time. Any one of us can have a bad day, a bad moment, a bad incident, or what have you. That shouldn't necessarily be a death sentence to someone. But I definitely think that you need to. I definitely think you need to, give time for relationships to grow. I remember the first time I met my wife, she offended me right away. I thought she was so stuck up the first time I saw her. I mean, stuck up. I mean, she didn't even look at me. Like her friend in the office introduced me. Our friend's like real gregarious and everything. So say, hey, here's here's what. And she was like, oh, hello. Like just totally just looked me up and down and just totally rude. I mean, gave me that clammy handshake and everything, and I was so yeah. So I could have judged right then and there. But again, I got a chance to see her over time. We started hanging out at lunchtime and whatnot, and with her friend and friendship circle, and started to see her and stuff. And then, so once I started to get to know her better, see what she was, I was like, oh, okay.
So, Brother Bennett, I have a question in that, right? Could you or would you have ever seen, just looking back, could you ever say that she was just a little different, as far as socially, wasn't all this gotta be in your hey, how you doing? You want to be all
No.
facey,
She's very.
laid back.
It's
She's sort of reserved.
Peter knows because he's met my wife. My wife isn't one of them friendly when you come to the door. Hey,
Yeah,
Peter, give you a
yeah,
hug and can I get you something to eat or whatever? She's like, oh, hello. I mean, she'll be cordial, but she doesn't let people in
yeah.
right away.
Yeah.
You got to build
That's it.
that
Yeah,
with her. And I got a couple daughters. They're like the same way. They're not so all in your. My one, she's kind of like a real people pleaser type of person or whatever. But my oldest one, she's just like my wife.
yeah,
Deadpan, doesn't show her cards right away. But when she's into you, she's into you. You know what I mean? And so once I broke that glass and we started to get, then she was like, she got all girly and stuff like that or whatever. But she wears that stern, her mom, she had that kind of stern, kind of bohemian mom and whatnot. And so again, just like I said, just poker face.
that's it.
Doesn't show her cards right away. But I mean, she's the
Yeah,
goofiest, nerdiest woman I've ever been with.
yeah.
But you would
That's
never
the
know it. She just has this very
yeah,
what do they call it? Demure is probably the
yeah.
best way to describe her. She's very demure when you meet her. But once
So
you break through that inner wall, she's like she's corny. that's
yeah,
she is so
salute,
corny.
man.
You break
She
that
got spirit.
seriousness down. But again, that's something. Yeah. But had I judged her that particular day, I don't know we would have been we would have been together. So again, you have to give people some time.
Yeah,
As long as they don't do something egregious right
yeah,
away. Like I don't necessarily like if she was like if she cursed like a sailor like the first time I saw her, whatever. That might have been a because that's
yeah,
one of my non-negotiables. One, smoking, a foul mouth, and tattoos, especially visible ones that I can kind of see. That's like kind of all over. That's like automatic. That's just that's not going to work. I don't care how much you try to make it up, but the fact that you can swear like that, I know you can swear like that, and so for you to just kind of I'm going to work in my feminine energy now that I like you, it's like no, I know
right,
you have that in the holster.
right,
So nah, so
right.
it's not gonna work. But for real, give people time is something that's important. But anything you want to say on this before we move on to the next?
I mean, yeah, man. Listen, my line of business is working with people. The last thing I've ever did was judge people before I got to know them. Now, did I like when working with youth? You hear, oh, this student is bad. This student is this and that, right? But I didn't own that for myself. I only applied that student be having issues with that particular person. I guess my population of people that I work with, you can name a type of person. I can guarantee that I'll probably work with that type of person, from mental illness to uh, substance abuse to mental health issues to obesity to I guess sexual identity crisis, all of those things. I work with that population in every race. So I've had some Asian men that had some issues like that too, but I couldn't judge them. I couldn't judge them. And I've never really judged people based off what somebody else said. Like I said, if me and you had a friend and y'all fell out, you couldn't tell me not be his friend no more. I just wouldn't bring him up around you. I've
Yeah,
always been like that.
yeah,
I've never been a friend that, oh man, brother Bennett, somebody said something about you and they was talking about you. I would have been like, hey man, why are you talking about brother Bennett, man? He ain't even here.
Mm.
And then I was like, you need to talk to him. Because you could have did me, that same person could did me like that. And I always thought that if I comment, they go run back and tell you what I said. And then you looking at me like, that's how I always thought about people. Because I don't know. I wasn't gonna be so, but when I saw somebody's character, if it didn't align with me, I avoided it.
yeah,
I speak to you, hey brother Ben, if I know you were stealing cars and breaking in people's houses, you probably wouldn't hang out with me no more.
yeah,
I'd be like, hey, what's up, brother Benny? Hey, yeah, come on, man, let's go. Nah, man, listen, man, I gotta go home, man. My
yeah,
mama need me to do A, B, C, D. You know what I'm saying? So I just sort of disconnected to it. And I've always taught my son, the students I work with, the adults, man, sometimes don't rush to believe that somebody has your best interest at heart. Sometimes you
Yeah.
gotta watch how
You
they
gotta
move
watch it.
instead of
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
say. Don't
Yeah.
always go by what people say. Watch how they move.
Yeah.
So it's always
But I
been
like the King's comment. Say I excuse someone who would dog anyone, but she never dogged me until she did.
she did. Yep.
So yeah, so it's like, they want to turn it on. It's like, oh, I'll be nice I'll be mean to everybody else, but I won't be mean to you until they mean to you.
Yep. To they
And so
mean
they got that part of their personality and whatnot. So again, those are the things that you watch for over time. And that was always a big peeve of mine also. It's like, they go cursing everybody out. Yeah, but they're like, hey Paul, hey, how you doing? I was like, nah,
Nah,
you already showed your hand. That's why I would love almost like sneaking up on them. Like I want to see you in your natural habitat. You know what I'm saying? That's why I want to see you around your family. I've been in some hounds where the family's like just ridiculous. You know what I mean? With just how they treat each other. But she puts on that face, and but it's like this is as dysfunctional as you can get. And I'm not looking for perfection, but those are things you got to be mindful of. But let's move to the next one. There was okay. So big decisions again. I think we talked about this certainly at the beginning of the show. So big decisions again. What do you want to do? What vocational path that you want to go on? Do you want a relationship or not? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have children? If you decide to move out the state, where do you want to move to? What portion of the country or the world that you want to move to, investing, like I said, making major purchases, buying a home. For most Americans, buying a home is like the biggest purchase that you'll ever make. Or, and like I said, these days, these vehicles are costing you get a 2025 loaded truck that's over 100-something thousand miles now. So again, so those kind of big decisions, are things that you shouldn't rush, but at the same time, you need to be deliberate in the decisions. Like I said, there's a difference between not rushing something and procrastinating, because opportunities will come, and situations may line up. And again, did you arm yourself with enough information? Did you make enough in terms of watching someone's character before you decide to invest in a person or not? So again, so definitely take your time with making decisions. Don't just take the first offer that necessarily comes to you, but at the same time, don't procrastinate to the point where that decision or opportunity goes away. That's a wisdom to me. That's like a wisdom call, because I can't say, okay, when the next one, or take the third offer. Those are things you can't necessarily decide on. You got to have some wisdom here, or you have to have some trusted confidants who can give you some insight and wisdom on making that. But again, going for the first offer, especially if it's big, these are things that you may need to wait out. But Coach, what's your views on this one, or what do you think of the big one? So I kind of mentioned my top 4 or 5. Buying a home, getting married, your vocation. I also talk about your spiritual. So again, if you decide to make a spiritual change, maybe you might have grew up in a Baptist household, but you decide to go somewhere else. I don't know, or not believe at all, or maybe you were a non-believer at some point. You decide to adopt a faith of some kind, something involving your spiritual life. But to me, those are like the major decisions that I identify. Any other big decisions that you would put on this list that would count as big decisions?
You mentioned quite a few, right? And like I mentioned earlier in the show, just what we're gonna do. And another decision that we'll be looking to try to find our final home so we can, go to the upper room.
You go you shopping grave sites?
No. That's already taken care of.
Mm.
But as far as our location where we want to live, the access we want to have.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
As far as of one level, maybe a condo or a
I got you.
townhome.
Yeah, so like I said, buying a home.
So,
Yeah,
something like that. And that's where
and where also are you?
Yes, all of that.
Are you thinking about? Because I know you're basically you're from Chicago initially, right?
No, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky initially. I,
Oh,
I,
you're from
I
Louisville.
lived and worked in Chicago. After my military and college, I moved to Chicago to sort
Mhm.
of, that's where my career really just launched off,
Right.
right?
Got it. Hmm.
So after 16 years there, then, met my wife about maybe, let me see, so about the 10th year I was there is when I met her.
Hmm.
And we just been rolling ever since.
Right.
But
And you're back in Louisville
I'm
now, right?
close. I'm
Okay.
close to the area,
Right.
just based off certain benefits that I could receive. So I'm
Gotcha.
close, you know what I'm saying? But so now that's a big thing. She's, we think about, when she retires, where we want to be location, access to health and medical.
Yeah.
Me being a veteran, I have my range of access to health and medical is vast.
Hmm.
So just her is what we think about. Like you said, and uh, I don't know, man. So I sometimes I think it's good to rush to make a decision when it comes to um, taking advantage of an opportunity that may be short lived. I
Hmm.
think it's sometimes you have to be, what I'm saying? I think what I've seen is a lot of times we're scared to make a life changing decision that will take us out of our comfort zone.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that
Yeah.
used to be the biggest thing I used to just sort of stress, especially to the seniors and, what I'm saying, the students that are looking, to go to college, maybe even to get a job, and join the military. So that's why I love about my job. So I can focus on students who want to go to the military, go to college, join the workforce, right? So I used to let them know sometimes this is a big decision that could change your life. Either decision you make, either good or bad. So do the research, and that's where that don't rush come in. Do the research because the research you have access to it.
Mm.
Find your niche in that path, and if it works, go head over heels in it. Go in it 100%, 120%, and work your butt off to be good in it.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but then again, when it comes to, I can say this and I'm gonna shut up. When I'm seeing as far as on a social level with the country, these changes that are happening in our government and people are rushing to and they're panicking like, oh my God, this is the end of the world because we've never seen this in our lifetime.
Right.
We've never seen the government move in this way. Just like outside of the norm of everything that we came up under, the ideology, this is new. So I can understand how people can like panic in a sense.
Hmm.
But again, in that between that time, I think it's also for people to become more knowledgeable about not just what's going on in my little area of people, but now looking at the world. And this is where I think it can take time. I give myself 4 year cycles. What can I do to better myself in those 4 years? So every 4 years, I'm going to college. I'm going to a university. So I'm learning something and trying to figure something out just to another degree in life. So yeah, I think sometimes you need to make those decisions with an open heart and open mind and
Hmm.
go in it with no biases, learn a new space, but also there's times where you need to sit back and learn as much as you can prior to jumping in so you can be well prepared and not get caught up, what I'm saying, in your emotions after the fact. Like, oh man, I should have did all these things you should have did, but
Hmm.
when you was wasting time and procrastinating, you could have been learning those things to help you avoid. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Next point here. We got a couple more. Okay. Never things to do in a rush. Eat your foods.
yeah, I'm
Now
big on
this
that,
is
bro.
now this is something that I listen.
There
I'm
you go,
guilty of
good.
this.
Okay.
I don't take the time a lot of times to even.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I'm at work, I eat through lunch. Most of the time,
Okay.
I'd say
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I don't take that break, go into the calf or whatever, or go out. I'm just about to grind. I could put an easy 14 to 16 a day. And so I'm sometimes guilty of this, or you got so much business going on, you just, in fact, a lot of times I don't even have time to make a meal. I'll just make me a protein shake or whatever, and just keep it
Mhm.
moving or something like that. So
Okay.
again, certainly, but obviously eating first of all, eating the wrong foods, but certainly eating the wrong foods fast
Hmm.
can certainly have a lot of different let's say effects. I'll just say that
Yeah, say that.
to how how that goes down, and then again, the idea of savoring your food.
Hmm.
You're so just just trying to get it down. Do you even get a chance to savor it, or enjoy it, to take that time? Even with families, and I listen. I never grew up with a family, even with my own kids. It's not like we had that family dinner every Sunday night or something like that, where we're just kind of everyone's at the table or what have you. So we didn't grow up like that. I didn't raise a family like that, but certainly the idea of just being able to um, enjoy your food, make sure you take the time to properly digest it and then go back into it. But a lot of times people eat stressed, and again, that can have some bloating and gas and all those kind of things. So yeah, take your time. But again, I'm speaking to the choir. I know I need to do that sometimes. Like I said, first thing, if I know I'm in a hurry, let me get that shaker cup with the way isolate, and and keep it moving sometimes, 'cause I got somewhere to be. And but again, taking that time to enjoy a meal, take your time for yourself to kind of unwind from it. That is certainly something that's beneficial. You might be better on this one. I'm tagging you in on this one, because I can't even front on this one that I can I can be guilty of some of this too. But what do you think? I used to eat in the car. Literally, I would have go through the drive-through, and because I'm on my way, so I'm not gonna have time to stop and eat. So I go through the drive-through. I'm eating a burger, whatnot, fries, everything in there. By the time I get to the spot or whatever, do the floss or whatever, get out my car and do what I got to do. So again, everything. There have been times in my life where I've just been so busy that even to pause, it's like, I don't have time for this. Let me hit the drive through and keep it moving. So, well, hopefully you've had a better experience with this than me.
Brother Benny, man, this is my whole life, man. I never rush to eat my food. Never. My friends, even when I was a teenager, I always remember my friends are like, "Man, you eat slow," because I gotta sit down. I like my food real hot when I get it. My wife would tell you
Mhm.
and I gotta sit down. I gotta make sure everything is right, and then I make sure that when I eat, I chew at least 25 times, at least try to, because I learned, again, part of my better understanding of health is to ensure that my food leaves no air pockets in my
Mhm.
digestive system.
Mhm.
So when I learned that, especially, going to the VA, they give you classes on health and nutrition, but I've always ate slow, and I eat proportionate. Like, I don't, just all in the burger, and I sort of eat proportionate, and I've always done it. But then once I learned the importance of it health wise,
Right.
then I was like, cool, I've been doing it the right way. And it helps with my digestive system.
I hear you. But
I've
now, hang on. When you first started, were you counting? You were like 24, 25,
Yeah, when I first started out,
and
it
then,
count.
so you wouldn't take another bite until that 25th bite, and then you would take another.
Well, is yes. I would always have to chew it because I used to count. You feel that?
that's most,
You know what I'm
that's some
saying?
OCD right there.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah. Hey,
Does
so
anyone in the chat? Hang on. Anyone in the chat? Do you do the prop? And when I first learned that, I learned that watching I Love Lucy, because I don't.
mhm,
I just remember this episode where she was reading this book or something, because she was trying to procrastinate on something, and said, "Well, doctors say you should chew your food 25 times before swallowing." And I don't know why I remembered that.
mhm.
But for anybody in the chat, are you one of those OCD type of people? Do you count the number of bites, the number of times you chew your food
I
before
used
you
to do
take
it.
another bite, or do you get around 18, 19, be like, that's good enough, and then you take the next one?
I used to do it, man. Like I said, like I said, brother, in high
That's some
school,
discipline, man. Respect.
in high school, I used to. That's when I learned. I like, okay, and I would, and even today, I take my time and eat. I don't rush it. I make sure all my food is well chewed. You know, so
Yeah.
and I'm one of them. I can eat. I can exchange of goods within 30 minutes every time I eat.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting also, again, eating fast, you get full fast. Because my wife and I, this is one thing I remember when we were dating. It was like the tortoise and the hare. Because me, I was fast out the gate. I got my food or whatever, and I was just like, I was just ready to tear into it. About halfway through the food, so let's say we got ribs, right? So, like I said, a rack of baby back ribs or something. I'm in my seventh or eighth rib by the time she's in her second rib. And I'm looking at her like, man, you sure like take your time.
mhm.
But by the halfway through, I was like, man, I'm getting full. I'm gonna have to, ask God to come box this up. I'm gonna take this home. I'll finish this tonight. She's methodically
Mhm.
one at a time. And I'm like, she's still going. She eats the entire rack of ribs. Like, you know, so I'm tapped out halfway through. She could finish. That was like the biggest thing. And we would talk about that over this. Like, how do you do that? How do you? Because I'm thinking about, okay, we got to eat. Let's get to the show or whatever. So definitely we made sure that we ate after the show instead of before. But it's like, yeah, let's get this food in. And but again, the idea of just enjoying. So she's never been in a rush to eat her food. And it
Mhm.
was like a little bit annoying, honestly, at first, but amazing at the same time, because she would just keep going, just take a little time, one
Mhm.
one rib, one rib, one rib, and she would just finish the whole thing out. So that was crazy. Yeah. So rushing your food, probably not a good idea, and I claim guilty to this, that I need to do better at that. Or a lot of things that for me, if I can't eat it, I'll liquefy it, and then I'll take it on the road with me. But the last one here, okay, never rush to things doing a rush. Think you know somebody. Again, this kind of goes back to, again, looking at someone, judging someone's character or rushing into a relationship. I mean, it's all related. That again, you have to. Relationships take time to build. Now, again, not forever. I don't think you need to date your lady for 10 years. I mean, I think you and I, we both married our women pretty quick after meeting them. It's like,
Mhm.
once they showed improved, we were like, I bet, let's do
Let's do
this.
it. Yeah, let's
You know what I
do it.
mean? But and I'm still learning things about my wife even all these years later. So you'll never know everything about somebody. But I
Mhm.
mean, are those core values and principles? Are you good on those? And are you actually watching and observing how someone moves? Not only how they move with you, but how they move around other people, how they move around the friends and the family, how they move around strangers that they don't know. So these are things that you need to really have an understanding of, um, as you really get to know someone. I think a lot of people, you get so caught up in again, going back to the whole idea with the buddies and the friends. Friends do get to know one another, the intimate thoughts of the person, what they think, how they're feeling. But a lot of times when you're doing buddy stuff, you're not talking about those kind of things. You're talking about the activity, the ball game, the video game, the this, the that, or whatever. You're talking about stuff, but are you really getting into thought process? And are you sharing things that you wouldn't necessarily share with anyone? Intimacy. And I don't mean just physical intimacy. I'm talking about just really getting in, understanding people. Again, that could take years before people show themselves truly who they are. But are you watching, or are you just blinded by? You're just caught up. You're just so happy just to be part of the activity or whatever that you're not even paying attention to. And them signs could have been there the whole time, but you were so busy looking at other things that you didn't give consideration to what that person really was. Like I said, being intentional about, especially when you talk about finding someone to date or to marry or whatever. Are you intentional about really wanting to know those things that are important to you? or is the sex so good you just like, nothing else matters or whatever. You just let a whole lot of stuff go. And you knew she was crazy from jump, but you were just so enthralled in it or whatever that you just didn't pay attention. So again, never
Mm-hmm.
think you know somebody. Definitely take that time, in especially in situations where you can be objective in what you see and what you observe before you make decisions about the character said on the earlier slide.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, don't be in a rush to think, oh yeah, I know them like, and then you wind up being like, oh, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be mindful about that. What are your thoughts on that one, Coach?
Yeah, man. You know, it's funny, man. And I'm just going to use my wife as an example, right? I, I what I want to, I don't know. I like the fact that my wife sort of surprises regularly. She surprises me with a part of who she is regularly based off her growth, right? Since we've been married, because she always talks about my patience. I have a lot of patience, and her patience is very short. Believe, hey, my wife, man, she's very thorough. She's very articulate, but she's very short when it comes to her work, her job, and the way she sort of protects the family. You know what I'm saying? She's not as, I guess, as social as me,
Mm-hmm.
but I appreciate the fact that, the more I learn about her, it's helping me be better and more focused. Like I said, I take people for what they present to me. I
Mm-hmm.
never make assumptions about people. I've never been able to do that. And I'm talking since I was a kid, because
Right.
I was a social kid. I'm going to help a kid if I see it. You know what I'm saying? I help an old lady. I've always been that way. Now, will I judge a, a situation? You know what I'm saying? I comment on a situation. We do it all the time, even in podcasts, even in even the sports show. In a sense, we judging players and sports figures based off what we are seeing and they are doing. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, uh, and it when I was getting to know somebody, I had it. What is it? I never mentioned sex.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I meet somebody, I never talk about sex. And I used to get questioned on why you don't never talk about it and da-da-da. I'm like, because it's more to you than that. I don't worry about that part of it. If I can't have some type of understanding of your thought processes outside of you, then I really couldn't vibe with it physically. I like, and so I always looked at people for what they presented to me. And when I would see what they present, let's just say, okay, you new to the school, right? But you're a popular guy doing the dumb shit. Everybody, oh man, Mr. Bennett, man, he cool. Every time I see you, you over disrespecting somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna put myself in a position where I'm even allowing you to be in my space. I'm gonna leave you over there. Now, I know who you are. I may be making assumptions, but I'm watching your character.
Right.
So I guess I think I'm judging them based off. I think I know them, but I'm going by what they're presenting to me to
Right.
make a decision that I don't want to be a part of that.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think I want to know everything about everybody I meet.
Mm-hmm.
Because some stuff that people go through, I'm not going to attach it to me if it's not. something that I can either control. If I can control it, I'm not going to attach it to me. So,
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Me, I'm more, certainly I appreciate the more I am able to learn about a person over time. Um, and again, sometimes my wife, I'll sort of bug my wife. Sometimes it's like, is there something that you, we've been together almost 30 years, but it's like, is there something that about your life that maybe you remember? Or she's like, I don't know. I mean, like she says, I know everything, but my curious mind is such where I don't believe that. I think there's always something that could certainly come up in the in the future. But I think if it ever did get to a point where you think you know somebody, then they become less interesting. I think. I'm always looking to explore more if I can kind of go back in time and see how she was when she was a teenager, how she was when she was in her early 20s and whatnot. I would love that. But she doesn't put a lot. One thing with her is like if it's in the past, it's in the past. Like me, like some people, storytellers, they can go back and say with detail this
yeah,
particular
that's me.
story from 30, 40 years ago. My
That's
wife
me.
is like, if it happened last week, it's like it's over. So she's got blinders on, and she just looks forward most of the time. So going back trying to tell the retro, that's why even with us, I'm definitely, if there's anything that happened with us, even from our dating, it's like, look, talk to him.
He'll tell you the
He
whole
remembers
story.
all the stuff what we did or whatever. But sometimes I'll be like, you remember what we did? It's like, no, I don't remember that.
She's like, oh,
So yeah, man. But hopefully, don't make the
that's
assumption
interesting.
that you know somebody, and keep in mind, even what you know. Again, we have to recognize that people change.
Hmm.
People grow in different directions. You develop different political ideologies. People develop different ways of looking at religion. People look at all different types of things. So even what you know, that doesn't mean that it's static and it's cast in concrete forever. And that's all that person is.
Hmm.
And so you also have to allow for that growth as well. That person may not be the same person. I hope I'm not the same person I was nearly 30 years ago. Now,
For
hopefully
sure.
for the better, but certainly everybody, you also have to have that, give them that grace to be, to continue development. And a lot of people think, well, once I graduate college, I stop growing, I stop developing. And I think, I think you cut yourself short when you don't continue
For sure.
process and trying to grow and improve yourself. But just to kind of summarize, ladies and gentlemen, just the points tonight as we start to wind down the show. So again, falling in love, giving your trust away, judging someone's character, making big decisions, eating your foods, and thinking that you know somebody. Again, these things you shouldn't be in a rush. But again, I want to emphasize again, these are decisions that you should make at some points in time, but give it time and be sure before you do rush into things. Now, one other point I was just thinking about as the show going on, I know people have different ways how they put stuff together. So you got people who they take a long time to make a decision. Again, never rushing, but then they change their minds very quickly after that decision's made. And then you have people who make very quick decisions just like that, and they don't change their minds. They just very consistent with that. Very hard to change. And then of course you have the ones who take forever to make a decision, and once that decision is made, they don't change. And then you get the ones who make the quick decisions and the quick changes. So I think a part of this also is once you do make these decisions, being committed to the decisions that you make. But most people are never in, certainly I've met the people who are the quick decision making and quick changing. Those people you would call flighty. You know what I mean? Those are people you just can't trust, those kind of people, because it's like, yeah, I'm down, I'm down. And then down near the event, oh, I can't go. Something else came up. You always have those type of people. Then you have people who, like I said, they take their time, just like Coach is doing the research and whatnot, and making sure that he's putting himself in the right position before he makes the purchase. But then once he decides, then boom, it's done. And then you have people, and these are probably the worst. These are probably the most frustrating ones, the ones who take forever to make a decision, and they'll still change. taking all that time when you might as well, you could have said just from the beginning that, yeah, the one who makes the quick decisions and the quick change, they're all, in a way, they're almost more predictable. But the ones who take forever to make a decision and they can't stay to it, that's probably like the worst person. I hate being I hate being around. Fortunately, I don't know too many people who are like that, but I do. But I have encountered a few in my past, and you have the ones, again, slow to make a decision, but once a decision is made, they're solid. You can bank on it. You can trust that they're going to be there for you over time. But out of those four types of people, which ones, more so that you've encountered in your life experience, what have you found more of out there? The slow decision, but once the decision is made, it's concrete. The one who makes a quick decision but quickly quits. The one who quickly makes a decision and doesn't quit, and the ones that are slow to make decisions but quits quickly. What would you say you've encountered more so in your travels?
Man, that's an interesting question, Brother Bennett, man. I really don't have a solid answer as it pertains to others. I really don't, because a lot of times in my position, I was trying to assist them in making the best and the most sound decisions, right? So I don't necessarily always know how long they thought about it, or if it's something that was just bounced off the top of their head. A lot of times when I ran into that, I would just always throw that. So, what about, have you researched A, B, C, D, E, F, G?
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about this? And sometimes people that didn't do their research, they will have such of a downer, oh, why are you hating on me reaction? When really, you know what I'm saying, they haven't done any research. It's just something that they thought of.
Right.
But there's also been times, that I've said, hey, don't hesitate, do it. You've done your research, now it's time to go. Just for my own life, it's funny because one thing me and my wife do, we procrastinate. We'll discuss something weeks and months in advance, right? And we'll say we're gonna do it this week, but it might be a month from now before we do it, right? But it's always the right time. It's something that, we've been talking about, again, this vehicle. In the past, I probably would have been like, okay, I saw it, let's do it. No, now, after doing my research, I come with more ammunition to get the best result for me. And hopefully I've found it, the one that would give us the best results, and I'm going to look into it, man. So I'm excited for it, man, for sure, man. So yeah, man, decision making is very important through all aspects of life. I think it would behoove us now, because we're supposed to be the modern people and the smartest. And with this information being unveiled and becoming more accessible, I think it would benefit anybody to sort of do their research before making a move and, life-changing decision. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would probably put myself in the slow to act, but don't change type of person. Like once I'm locked in, once I say I'm doing something, I'm doing it. And very rarely will I just quit something, because that's just not something that I do on a regular. If I give my word on something, that means something to me. So I think I always try to stay with stuff. But yeah, but certainly, like I said, but the ones who take forever to make a decision, and then they're like, now that moment comes, and now they flaking out. Is that I was like, I just get away. I just say get away. Like I said, the flighty people, like I said, I just don't hang out with. I just don't allow those kind of people around me, because again, you can't trust them. And so we talked about, again, the people, allow people into your circles and whatnot. Those are the people you really got to be mindful of. But those are the flighty, those are the party people. Those are the ones who are just flakes, oftentimes as they're labeled. And you just got to be mindful with that. But again, hopefully this was certainly information that you guys can take with you. Again, we're just two bald guys, and again, we're gonna have a meeting to talk about. We may have to rename the show, and have rebranding, if you will. Already, we're like a month and a half in, and we're already rebranding. But hey, I'm game. I'm game. But we'll make this call. But hopefully, again, you guys enjoyed. Again, as we end the show tonight, make sure that you hit the like button. Certainly, again, we're very close to being monetized, and certainly all the work that certainly Peter and Sparta, what he's doing with the channel and whatnot. We just want to help this channel grow and continue to give you good quality content that you can certainly learn from and benefit from. So unless Sparta, unless he wants to come in as we close out the show, again, close out the show. We're not going into overtime or after hours. But if he wants to come up as we close the show out, certainly he's more than welcome to come and do so. But if not, then I would say certainly it's been, as always, a pleasure, Coach, sharing the stage with you and sharing stories and just breaking bread, just getting to know you better. Certainly in this space, as hopefully you get a chance to know me better as well. But for everyone who came in tonight, so again, thank you again, King Smith in tonight, my man Eric, who was in Marianne Constantine. Always a pleasure having you on as you come in tonight. Really appreciate you being here. And so for everyone, if this is so as we wind down the show, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Just in terms of programming, just be tuned on the Hangout shows coming on Saturday. I forget the topic offhand, but Hangout show is going to be Saturday night, where we just talk about a lot of pop culture. Sunday's Gray Area show is going to be coming up, and that one I should have. In fact, that I can tell you real quick. So let me just go and pull that up. So on the next Gray Area, we're going to be talking about. This is interesting. Are you a bad parent if you put your career first sometimes? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we're going into this whole new area now. It's like, before we were talking about like sort of global cultural issues. Now we're kind of getting more with the nitty gritty. So again, we're going to be talking about that Sunday on the Gray Area, and certainly the Ghost has made his appearance as we wind down the show.
I didn't even have time to put my shirt on, so I just ran over here when I heard that. Yeah, I needed to get in here.
Yeah,
so
well,
some my appearance.
Yeah, some things can't be unseen. We'll let that go.
Yeah. So
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, are we going to shoot fires? Because I got a lot of ammo against you. The Mr. doesn't know how to grow a beard.
I am bulletproof, bro. I'm good. So, but any final thoughts as we close out the show?
No, I only want to say you guys been doing a killer job. I only thing I'm going to say, and no, we're not renaming it to both dudes. So that is, I am the president.
That's a hit, man. I'm telling you, we have to test the waters here, man.
I'm going to tell you right now, I made an excellent decision without voting for it. No, I'm not even going to let you think about it. The answer is going to be no. So, have you? So, what's the direction are we going with this next couple episodes? Oh Christ! Now this guy jumped in.
What if I shaved my head and joined a club? Would it call it the ball leagues?
I go to the Three Stooges first.
We encourage. We take all members, all shades, all races, all anybody who wants to join.
All head shapes,
everyone who wants to join the ball revolution. Again, the revolution will not be televised and resistance is futile.
Okay,
so again,
first of all, if we're gonna do the three ball guys, the Three Stooges, aka
no Three Stooges.
Who's Louis?
Keith Smith is bald. I'm well that.
He's also only he's only 3 foot tall. Also, I tell him all the time. Listen, I'm gonna start buying him phone books, and when I see him next in a month and a half, that's the gift I'm giving him. I actually have. I'm not joking. I can show you guys. They make these foot pedals for short people. I was actually thinking about buying that for him as a gag.
No.
You didn't see our
no.
me and King's friendship is.
No. Don't do it.
Charging David.
2 goats. Yep. 2 goats.
I might that one I might
Willie.
consider. On the one condition, if Paul grows a goat.
Really low.
It's not a circle beard is not a full beard like mine.
Not happening. But to answer your question though, so we got one more from the initial set of shows. Again, this was our pilot, so we got. I can't believe we've gone through so many shows already. It just shows how the time
Is that 5
flies.
weeks,
But
ain't it?
no, it's been 7.
7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At 6, this is our 6th show.
Okay.
And
so
so we
yeah.
got one. So the next show will be the habits of happiness. The habits of happiness. So that that'll wind up our sort of initial season,
Okay.
and then we're going to
I
go
get
into
some
more
Okay.
some more physical. Then it's going to do some training.
Okay.
So again, we may start doing some shows from my basement gym. Start talking about some physical training, physical exercise, and how people can just do some basic things to take care of themselves. So for younger people, just getting started with training, as well as older people, things you can do. So we may take it into the physical space. So again, we've dealt a lot with just the mindset and getting your mental, thinking right. Now we're going to, deal more so with the physical aspects of things, and then we may, certainly circle back and start, doing more shows back in that, again, that mental, emotional, and intellectual space. So it's going to be a mix of different things that we do in the near future. But look forward to some shows where we actually do some physicality as well. So I'll have a camera set up. I'll have the wireless mic and whatnot, and so we'll look to do some things from there. So yeah, so we'll look for this next set of shows, and could certainly to continue working with the coach. So looking forward to it.
Nice, guys.
Yes, sir.
Except that I have nothing. Did you guys do a schedule update in chance?
Yes, I did. So I talked about what's that? I didn't get the only thing I didn't get was the Saturday Hangout show. What was the topic for the Hangout?
Give me a second. I'll get it to you right now.
I already talked about the gray area, but I didn't talk about the Hangout.
I might switch it around because I came up with a topic today. I might want to do over for our open panel.
Okay.
I'll-
That speaking of open panel, in fact, thank you. Actually, I thought we said this week was going to be
It is
open panel.
open panel.
Okay, so open panel this week. So the week after that, we're going to be dealing with, again, are you selfish if you put your career over your kids for at least more time? So
The only thing I want you to think about for this week, we're gonna chop it up on Sunday.
Okay.
Is it appropriate a married woman give a hug? That's all I'm gonna give you.
Okay.
Yes, David. Don't give me that look. Is it appropriate a married woman give a hug? That's all I'm asking. And we're gonna chop her up on Sunday on that. But Saturday, guys, we are talking about one of David's most biggest feared, Dark Water, the Avengers. It's one of the oldest, not oldest, about 90s. Is it an anime, David, or is it a cartoon?
Here's the problem. Remember, me and Wally talked about it on our anime show. A lot of cartoon that came out in the 80s was done by Japanese animators. But a lot of people didn't even notice that because when you look at the critics, you start to see a lot of Japanese names. And you start to wonder why they're over here. Now realize they hired them to do their cartoon here. So unless you want me and Wally to go in on it and start breaking out in detail the history, the production studio, why they took that route, how many seasons they have, how many episodes, you wouldn't go that far because
So that's a no? It's not anime?
it's a mix. It's a mixed bag.
Okay, mixture. Okay, it's a 50-50, it's a hybrid. All right. Yes, we will be talking about Dark Water on Saturday's Hangout. Except that, go ahead, gentlemen. Close it out.
All right, guys. Again, thank you once again for joining us tonight on Next Gen Training. For myself, Mr. Bennett, for the coach, for the Ghost of Sparta, and
This
Black
is
David.
Sparta!
Black David, aka Bear Paws. This has been Next Gen Training on the Sparta HQ Network. You guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Good night.